Okay, we want to talk today about homesteading successfully with aging or debilitated farm animals. This comes up when you're homesteading. It comes up when keeping animals, period, but with homesteading it's a little bit more difficult because we're not keeping pets, okay? So first of all, consider aging before you homestead. You don't have to have all the answers ahead of time. You just need to know the options, the pros and cons, and have a notion of your intention. Be aware the productive life of a farm animal is short, and what you need to do with it afterward is it's no longer producing. It comes up really fast, you guys. 2.5 years old for rabbits and chickens, up to 5 on the chickens, but most 2.5. Around 5 years old for ducks and quail, anywhere from 4 years to 10 years on sheep and goats, depending on how you're looking at it. Okay, so first off, you need to consider quality of life in whatever you choose to do before considering what to do. If it has broken teeth, they tend to break the horses and goats and sheep tend to break their teeth. They have arthritis and pain, difficulty keeping weight on. That comes with aging. So you need to consider where it's at and how it's doing as to what you're going to do from there. Also, if an animal is debilitated, has no use of a limb, rather than considering wheelchairs and such extremes on farm animals, those cause pressure sores, discomfort, suffering. Okay, you guys? You need to consider what's best for your animal. Animals are not people. And if an animal needs to be put down for its age, or because it's debilitated, or because of its own well-being, then you need to do that. Our personal red line is debilitation. It can't walk or stand. Deformity, that compromises the animal's ability to function, keeping on weight, etc. Or the animal's problem is unresolvable and it is suffering or dying already. Most animals don't just go on their own. If they do, it's after a lot of suffering. So, assuming okay present health. Option 1, keep the animal its entire life when you're homesteading. Be aware most farm animals live far beyond their production life. Sheep and goats live 20 years. Remember, they were only productive for 4 to 10. 15 plus years on chickens. Remember, they were only productive for 2.5. 5 or 8 years for rabbits. They were only productive for 2.5. This requires you to replace your animal, you guys, if your homestead is to continue producing food or income for your family. So now you have the aging animal that has increasing nutritive requirements, on top of the younger one that you need to keep to feed and care for. If I kept for their entire life, all the animals over all the years of homesteading, I'd have over 400 chickens. Only 30 of them presently laying. I'd have around 100 rabbits. I'd have probably 50 or so goats. And the goats, you guys, were a really, really hard one for us. That is unsustainable, you guys. We aged out in our goat herd particularly faster than we thought we would. 10 years, which is pretty much the limit if you don't want something to happen during birth. Comes up really fast. We discovered it was harder than we thought it would be when it came up. We originally had 10 goats that we were talking about retiring here for sentimental reasons. Each goat was going to need increasing, and already did, need increasing amounts of grain, about the same as they do for milking. They're aging, they're not producing. So we would be investing upwards of $500 a month on non-producing goats alone, let alone the 400 chickens and 100 rabbits. That's on local hay. So it would be even more if it was on the feed store hay. So we wouldn't have space as well for the goats that needed to replace them in the production herd. We don't want to overcrowd our barns. It causes behavioral and health issues, so you want to be careful about that. There are health issues that come up for aging farm animals, just as there are for people. You'll be required to put more time, money, energy into aging animals, as well as potential vet cost if you're going to treat them like a pet and not like a farm animal. Okay, so consider the health and well-being of your other farm animals. when considering to keep an animal for its entire life. You're having to put out for that animal rather than put into your productive animal. It takes up reserve space. It takes up... we realized that when we hit 10 on a bunch of ours, and some of them we kept... Lucy we kept to 21, okay, guys? We would have been in ruins if we'd continued in the way we were. And we would have had no space for our new stock. Okay, so... the truth is, with keeping every animal until it dies a natural death, is that most animals don't die a natural death, okay? They mostly have to be euthanized. They don't go quietly to sleep, as much as we wish they did. Okay, so, like, smaller animals, you have, like, chickens. You need to consider the health of your flock and the production of your flock. They, aging hens tend to eat eggs, and they teach other chickens to eat them. I lost an entire flock, actually twice, because of that. Okay. So if you decide this isn't manageable, you just like we did. It's okay to keep some of them, you guys, for their entire life, but be aware of costs and space and time and energy and suitability for that animal to be a pet. So what can you do if you don't want to keep the animal its whole life? This is what most homesteaders need to come to. You cannot keep them all. So keep your choices in perspective. These are farm animals. They're not people. And by and large, they're not pets. Okay? Like our goats, we love them. We take care of them. But they're not pets. Okay? We don't hang out with them, taking them on walkies. We used to, but we don't anymore. They're for production. And I don't spend a lot of time putting my rabbits out on a leash like I used to, because they're for production. Freedom is fun for them, but it also is stress for them. I'm not saying don't play with your goats. I'm not saying don't play with your animals. Do, if you want to, but just keep it in perspective. Our dogs are our pets, okay? Okay, so if you're going to not keep it, do what's best for them. We had a chicken we kept 12 or 14 years. Little kids liked to pet her. Her name was Marcy. She finally fell off a perch and died of a heart attack or something. So we've done it. We kept our first goat, Lucy, till she was 21. But most farm animals just are not pet quality. Lucy wasn't. She was flighty with us, mean to other goats. I gave a rabbit away one time to a lady. I had used her for 2.5 years for breeding, and she was not a pet. She was a breeder. She was used to having kits. She was not used to being pet by kids. Okay, so, by the way, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. In farming, tough choices have to be made. You can keep some as pets. Know that their needs will be increased as they age. But just keep it in perspective. Otherwise, you're collecting, you guys. Change course if you find yourself wrong. We did. We were going to keep 10 goats. We wound up not keeping any of them as pets, okay? Because we didn't have room for everybody else. Second option to keeping them is rehome them. Some people keep chickens as pets. If yours are friendly, that might be a good idea. Bear in mind that you don't want to sell or rehome animals that are not producing as if they were, and tell people that this is a laying hen if it's not, if that is unethical. Consider when you rehome aging animals that you need to remember the sales market for you and everyone else. This means charging market value. It teaches people how to treat the animals and what their worth is if you give them away, free or cheap. Bear in mind, too, it can be highly difficult to rehome aging animals. It takes years, believe me. I've experienced it. So if you're not prepared to do that, then you need to move on from rehoming. Okay, rescues. Rescues for farm animals are popular. They have chicken nursing homes, they have pig rescues, they have goat rescues. We tried all that. The rescues are full, guys. Okay? And in my humble opinion, rescues for farm animals shouldn't really exist. They exist because we as homesteaders are not taking care of our own stock. I believe in taking care of your own stock. And people are willing or incapable of treating them as a farm animal. It reduces farm animals to strictly to pet status, and that loses their purpose, and eventually people will stop keeping them for just fun pets. Okay, there will always be some, but there's not enough homes for all the rescue goats and all the rescue sheep and all the rescue chickens. And having the ability to sell your own when you need to. So, okay, so rescues, in my opinion, I wouldn't bother. You want to, you can, but I think it's kind of a sham. I've also worked for a so-called rescue, and no, she was a collector. Okay, auctions. I have purchased animals at auctions, and I've sold them at auctions. Be aware, though, when you sell an animal or buy an animal at an auction, it's a high-stress environment. You're sending it in among likely sick animals, and they're going to be sold for cheap prices, and they are probably going to be sold to somebody who's going to either not take care of it, or they may eat it. Okay, that's what auctions have largely been used for. So know that. They also may be using it for an animal sacrifice, or killing it inhumanely. So we actually don't auction for this reason. That's our personal choice. We looked at it, we looked into it, and it's not for our animals. So educate yourself. Auctions have their place, but in my opinion, it's not nearly what's best for the animal. Okay, and probably isn't for you if you think about it. Okay, selling or rehoming an animal in any form may not be what's best for it either, for reason of stress, fear, confusion, and the difficulty of finding a home. It took some of our goats that were no longer babies, we had for 4 years trying to rehome them. Okay, so you have to be patient if you're going to try to home it. Rehoming aging goats, sometimes you can send them off with a younger one at a discount or whatever, or sometimes full price. Some people are looking for older goats, but just be aware of how many people are doing that. Okay, so the last possibility for what you need to do with aging farm animals is euthanasia, or harvesting. Okay, so these are not pets, you guys. Bear this in mind. I'm not telling you your dog turns a certain age, just put it down without a health issue. I'm talking about farm meat, okay? It took me some years to realize there was problems with all of these options for aging farm animals. By and large, most farm animals are not good pets, okay? So that negates keeping them forever. That negates passing them on to other people at a rescue or an auction or a rehome. Look at the quality of the animal. Is it friendly? Is it, what is its future? How's its health? And there's zillions of animals out there that other people are not using as a farm animal. They're kind of just, they think they're all pets, and they're not. Okay, so I have given some to new homes at my discretion. It's not wrong by any means, but neither is it wrong to put them in the freezer if this is what you choose to do. It provides for your family. This is part of homesteading. Some people judge this, but yet they feel free to go purchase a chicken from the grocery store to feed their family. Farm meat is not for everyone. Processing it is not for everyone. This is why we have the food system we have, with lots of animals that are put in tiny spaces with industrial meat harvesting methods, okay? But if you can, it's a viable consideration, perhaps the best option for all farm animals by the end. And treating them as humans and pets doesn't do them any favors, and it doesn't do you any favors. People say that the breeding of farm animals is a reason of overpopulation. The reason for unwanted farm animals is the fact that people have forgotten their use. Okay, you don't see people keeping cows for pets a lot, okay, or keeping them forever. You don't see people giving cows away. You don't see cow rescues. You don't see that with cows. You don't see it with sheep. By and large, the purpose for those animals is known still. But because some of these smaller animals have been used as pets over the years, our judgment gets clouded. Okay, so, can you love an animal all its life and send it to the freezer? You can. You probably should. You need to treat them with love and with integrity, and know when your animal's had enough and call it quits, for you and for the animal. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your older farm animals. I'll just tell you that this is the thought process I went through, and the pros and cons of all of the options. And make your own choices, draw your own conclusions. But before you homestead, think it through. Because there's lots of stuck people right now. And that's not a good place to be when you're homesteading. Lots of people give up because they get stuck. So, this has been Homesteading Successfully with older, aging farm animals.